my name is Destiny Medina. This is my presentation called Wanting the Same Thing but in Different Ways. Before I get started on my conflicts, I would really like to define conflict. What is conflict? According to our textbook, Interpersonal Conflict, conflict is the expressed struggle between two interdependent parties who perceive incompatible goals, scarce resources, and interference from others in achieving their goals. The conflicts I will be discussing today focus mainly on interference. The first one is between my students and myself. I am an instructional assistant. I teach grades for kindergarten through 4th, and I was having a difficult time. My goal was for my students to learn valuable typing skills while enjoying my class. I didn't want it to be boring for them, but I really needed them to learn. My students' goals were to play the fun gaming websites like PBS Kids and Legos.com. So you can see where our conflict came to be, where I requested the students complete their assignments and they refused. The source of this behavior kind of ties into the question on why do children misbehave? Do they do it for attention, or do they do it because they're secretly trying to tell you something? According to Dr. Michael Boyle, my psychology professor who specializes in psychopathology and family dynamics, he suggests children misbehave because they're trying to find out what the rules are. If there is inconsistency, a child learns through experience how to get what they want. It's almost like a trial and error method. You keep testing until you find the method that works. All my students wanted to do was play games, and what they constantly did was test me. And that's when I realized that my behavior became triggers for them. Their behavior wasn't just coming out of nowhere. I did not have a consistent routine. And so when they didn't know what they were doing, and when they would ask, can I get on this website? And I would deny them, it triggered them, and they became angry and they acted out. My first approach was to give them assigned seats, separate them boy and girl, and to separate kiddos that might be the loudest, to separate them. And that was unsuccessful. I mean, the students still got up and out of their seats. They still continued to talk without permission, and they refused to do their assignments. My second approach was to take away their computers after 2 warnings, like, hey, follow instructions, and on the 3rd time I'd take it away and I'd replace it with paper assignments, either a reading assignment or a math worksheet. And that too was unsuccessful, and I think part of the reason was that because it was a punishment, and we've seen over the years and over studies that punishment never works. And finally, my third approach was after doing my homework, and Dr. Boyle suggested the bench method, okay? The bench method is similar to being put on a bench in a game, but it's different in contrast because you're placing the child in timeout without a time limit, and you're telling them you're going to be in timeout until you make the decision to change your behavior. This allows the child the opportunity to come to terms with what they're doing, and for them to determine what they need to do in order to get what they want. So, for instance, you have to be in timeout until you decide you want to follow instructions. I use this method in a similar way, or my method was inspired by this method. I guaranteed for the last 20 minutes of class, the students are guaranteed to get on any website of their choosing from the pre-approved list. It has to be school appropriate, as long as they follow the instructions and do their assignment. So the way this worked was, if the students were following along, they were great on behavior, they completed their assignments, they were guaranteed that no matter what we were doing that day, the last 20 minutes, Miss Medina promised us that we get to play games. And for my students that did not follow the instructions, they were technically in timeout. You were not allowed to leave your assignment from the computer, meaning you need to practice your typing, you need to practice your coding before you're allowed to do anything else. And they had to do that until They had to show me with their actions that they can follow instructions, and then that's when I allowed them to get on gaming websites. I think this works because it reinforces the idea that this is what I need to do in order to get what I want. And what I wanted them to do really wasn't hard. So it has been successful so far. It did take a few tries, but it has worked. And that's the reason why it works, is because I have to be consistent with it and I have to make them very clear. And I think it gives the students power over their lives in a sense that they have control on what they can do in my classroom because their behavior is what controls it. And I think it gives them some leadership and control over their bodies. This brings me to my next conflict. My students and I wanted to have fun in my class, but we just didn't agree on how we were going to have fun. So it's similar to Kim Kardashian West versus other celebrities. Kim Kardashian has many labels, and these are just a few. The Kardashian name rose to fame when Robert Kardashian represented O.J. Simpson in the 1994 case. And since then, Kim has made a name for her own. She has also received a lot of hate and comments since the beginning of her career, and a lot of that has to do from how she came into the spotlight. In 2007, a sex tape featuring her and her boyfriend at the time, Ray J, was leaked on TMZ. She filed a lawsuit, but it was later reported that she received a $5 million settlement. Later that year, she started her reality show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which turned out to be a great success. And she even posed nude for Playboy. And in her interview, she stated, and I quote, "But I am proud to show people who I am. You always see the typical skinny models, and I'm not that, and I'm proud to not be that." You'll notice that her comment was that I'm proud to show people who I am. So her being nude is her way of showing who she is as a person, as opposed to just her appearance. So you can see where the conflict could arise. Kim Kardashian posted a selfie on her social media back in 2016, and she had comments from two particular celebrities. Chloe Grace Moretz: "I truly hope you realize how important setting goals are for young women, teaching them we have so much more to offer than," which she's referring is to her nude photos. Bette Midler also commented saying, Kim Kardashian tweeted a nude selfie today. If Kim wants us to see a part of her we've never seen, she's going to have to swallow the camera. Of course, there's humor in that. Kim does not let this affect her. She clapped back, which a lot of people admire her for, with, "Let's all welcome Chloe Moretz to Twitter. Since no one knows who she is, your nylon cover is cute, boo. Hey, Bette Midler, I really don't want to bring up how you sent me a gift a while back, trying to be a fake friend, then come at me, #deja vu." So you can see that Kim Kardashian does not let these opinions bring her down. And the conflict doesn't really come to resolution because she has actually created a haters list, like people that have criticized her in the past, and she even sent them one of her fragrance perfumes. A lot of people continue to criticize her on every photo she posts. Some people think that her clapbacks are petty, but other people believe that it's empowering and liberating, that she doesn't, no matter how much criticism she gets, she doesn't let it affect her. So it got me wondering why, if all these women want the same thing, more women empowerment, why are they disagreeing? So these are the two perceptions I found. Some women represent themselves on social media by showcasing more sexually appealing images because it is believed in giving a sense of empowerment for them through being appreciated and admired sexually. So meaning it's okay to post sexual photos because you're being admired either way. It really doesn't matter if it's sexual or not. You're bringing women empowerment, basically. And the other perception was revealing the bodies of or showing sexual attractiveness through images as a result of body surveillance can also be addressed as sexual exploitation, in which women are used as sexual properties. So you can see the two sides of the coin here. One deems it as empowering, and the other deems it as inappropriate and actually a step backwards. That's where I think the source stems from. The triggers. What triggers these conflicts is Kim Kardashian's post. When she posts how she believes and how her method, she receives backlash. And I'm not condoning her actions. I'm just saying that when she posts her method, it brings a lot of conflict. Why? I think the reason why is because Kim is her own person and she doesn't allow other people's opinions to bother her, so she keeps doing herself. So when she posts things, it's for someone who believes that sexual exploitation, it is perceived as like, hey, you're messing it up, you're bringing us backward, you're ruining everything. And I think that's why it's such a big trigger for a lot of people, because they believe it's a step backwards for women. Is there a resolution? I'm really not sure. Considering as a species, we would have to come to a common method, which is really hard, and it prevents us because of our cultural differences, our heritages, our customs, all these things, our religion, all these things prevent us from coming to a common understanding and a common method. But we all want the same thing. That is why I chose these two conflicts, because we both wanted the same outcome, but we didn't agree on the operation. You see what I'm saying? We didn't agree with the same method, and that's why I chose these two, because I find it fascinating how we can agree on the outcome, but we can't agree on the operation. And so that is why I chose these two conflicts, and this is why it's extremely intriguing to see how conflicts can be so unique in a way. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. These are my resources that I used, and these are the sites I used for the photos. Thank you.